One of my favorite things in the world to do is watch Friends. I know it's been off for years and years. It's not even around, but I still find myself binge watching old episodes. And I was thinking about this today and thinking, it's the predictability of the friends in the circle, right? You have Chandler with his quirkiness, Monica with her type A of just everything has to be so neat and tidy and organized. It's Phoebe's ability to make you laugh at her silly songs. Ross always comes in with those smart comments, and Joey and him and his food, like it is just so hilarious. And of course, Rachel, she just brings everybody together, and it's just such this beautiful, cohesive team of people. And it's why I wanted to come on and share with you today that I have an opportunity for you to find your friends in the content creation space. So if you are thinking about creating your first or your next digital course, I don't want you to miss this opportunity because Amy Porterfield just opened the doors for registration for her Course Confident Bootcamp. And I'm actually offering a special bonus for anyone that registers for the Course Confident Bootcamp through my special link. So I want you to go to crystalprofit.com/Amy-bootcamp to register. That's crystalprofit.com/Amy-bootcamp. And what you're going to find when you get there is I have this special bonus private podcast series. It's called Money Mindset for Creators. So I want you to go register for Amy's bootcamp, download the podcast, and immediately start listening to it, because what this training is set up to do is to help you get your mind right about monetizing your content, making money so that you can fuel your content creation dreams. So go to crystalprofit.com/Amy-bootcamp to register for Course Confident. And I cannot wait for you to find your friends and find the people that will be there for you. Do you see what I did there? Yeah, nice little friends segue connection. Go to crystalprofit.com/Amy-bootcamp. And I cannot wait to see you inside. Okay, let's get into today's episode. I have a super special treat for you today. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited about this. You know, I get all nerdy whenever I'm trying something new, and we're doing something brand new today. So let's get right to it. Welcome to the Profit Podcast, where we teach entrepreneurs how to start, launch, and market their podcast. I'm your host, Crystal Profit, and I'm so excited that you're here. Thanks for hanging out with me today, because if you've been trying to figure out the world of podcasting, think of this show as the time-saving shortcut you've been looking for. So let's get right to it, shall we? Okay, I already know what you're thinking. You're like, Crystal, we're not even a minute into everything that you're talking about today. And here we are, like you're throwing something new at us. Yes, I am, because this is what I do. And I need to hurry up and get through this introduction because we're going to be here for a hot minute, because I was recently part of a fantastic conversation with my business besties on the Heather Sager Show. And Heather has so generously shared this podcast episode for the Profit Podcast listeners. Yes, you are getting an exclusive crosscast from the Heather Sager Show. I'm so excited about this. So for everything that you want to know about, like you want to know where the show notes are, all those things, I'm actually pointing you to Heather's podcast, but you can still go to the show notes. Go to crystalprofit.com/episode 240, and you will find everything that we're talking about here today, all the links, like all the incredible things. So crystalprofit.com/episode 240. And I hope you enjoy this conversation with my business besties, Heather Sager and Melanie Dyann Howe, as we talk about how to cultivate real relationships, real friendships as an online business owner. So enjoy.
I think that one of my favorite things about the three of us is we are really similar in a lot of ways. Our personalities are similar, but we also have differences in our personalities. I mean, Crystal's drinking tea. Heather, you might be drinking coffee. I'm drinking a beer right now. Like we have very
we're also
distinct...
in different time zones. I think.
Yes,
that's what I was going to say. Have we clarified that we're all different?
Hey, it's 4:00 my time. That means it's 1:00 your time. I had a beer at lunch today, so it doesn't matter. But I'm just saying, like, we're very similar, but we are different, which makes it work. And then from a business standpoint, like what Crystal said, like, I mean, we each have like a role. So I kind of feel like we're our own little like company where we each have a specialty in an area of expertise. I mean, anytime we have a podcast question, we go to Crystal, and, you know, like a content question, Heather, like, and also we each have different levels of experience, you know, like, you know, you guys are starting to look into the evergreen world, meaning like some of your courses and your content you're not going to be live launching it. I'm not there yet, but I know that when I am there, guess what? You guys have already gone before me, and I get to help you, or you get to help me, just like how I help you guys with tech and all the other stuff that we geek out on. But that to me is like something I've never had in a mastermind or inner circle before. And I love it.
Well, hey friend, welcome to another episode of the Heather Sager Show. It's me, Heather Sager, and I'm honored to be your speaking coach here today in this episode. I've spent the last 15 years studying and building my communication skills to inspire and teach business owners and their teams from stages around the world. I've had the honor of speaking on more than 1,000 stages on topics of leadership, premium brand positioning, sales, and of course, communication. And now my focus is helping fellow online entrepreneurs become magnetic speakers so they can make a bigger impact in the world while growing their income. This show right here was designed to give you a dedicated space each and every week to grow your skills and keep your big goals front and center. And if you like today's episode, be sure to grab a screenshot and share it on Instagram and tag me at the Heather Sager so I can give you a shout out and celebrate the work you're doing. All right, let's dive in, friend. It's going to be a good one. Well, hey friend, welcome back to another episode of the Heather Sager Show. It's Coach Heather, and today we're talking about relationships, specifically building friendships online. Why the heck is that important? Well, if you're anything like me, you left a world where you were around people every day, hello corporate, and you entered into this online space where there's people all the time on your phone, on your computer, but this online space can feel really, really lonely at times. So what do? We try to find connections in Facebook groups. We ask people for feedback. We want to talk about challenges we're having. We want to celebrate our wins, but we don't want to be super braggy. But then it gets really weird because are we looking for clients in these groups, or are we building relationships? And you can't really trust anyone because you think people are coming at you trying to get something from you, whether they're pitching you to buy their products and services or pitching you to do some kind of collab. It can get a little weird and uncomfortable. And today we're going to talk about how building quality friendships online has been a huge game changer in my own personal life, but also my business. So I'm going to introduce you to two people that you've most likely already met before. They've been on the show, Melanie Dyann Howe and Crystal Profit. I'll link to the previous episodes they've had on the show where we talk about their areas of expertise. So Mel is a coach, business coach for live coaching. She teaches people how to get more comfortable on camera for live streaming. She also has a phenomenal Facebook group called DIY Marketing with Mel. And Crystal is the host of the Profit Podcast, and she teaches people all about podcasting. She's a best-selling author. She's a Texan who says y'all all the time, which that's where I learned that from. These women are incredible, and I had the opportunity to meet them through networking insights and programs, and we decided to take it off the online piece to a different kind of relationship, which sounds super, super weird, but our entire relationship is on Voxer. Yep, I talk to these ladies every single day, and the initial intention was to create this peer mastermind because we knew we wanted to be around other like-minded women to be able to talk through things. But what evolved was something pretty incredible because this group isn't an accountability group. It's not a little pod where we talk about what we're working on this week. Sure, those things come up, but it's more about this beautiful blend of doing life as moms and online business owners and the challenges of working through quarantine and the pandemic and figuring out crazy things around launches and evergreen and all of the things and everything in between. it's formed this really beautiful organic relationship. And we wanted to have a candid conversation today, sharing around how we cultivated this relationship and give some tips for you, other business owners who might be looking and craving friendships online. So I hope you enjoy this candid conversation with two of my business besties, which we'll laugh because we hate that term. We call it a couple other things, but I hope you enjoy this conversation and inspires you to start reaching out, building true connections online, and creating just a better connection with other people, because I think you're really going to find a lot of value in your life. Okay, enjoy the episode. We're talking about peer friendships online and this idea that I think in the online space, I don't know, did you guys experience this when you started your business and got more into the online coaching space, where all of a sudden everybody decides that they want to be a part or they need a mastermind? And it's like this planted thing in your head where like, oh, the solution to what I need in my business is a mastermind, which I don't know. I think those are great, but also sometimes not needed. So I think oftentimes what we're missing is not necessarily a mastermind. We're just craving friendship online and somebody to talk about our stuff with, because our partners and people in our like offline lives don't really get what we do. So Mel, why don't you set the stage around a few months ago, what started this all and what you were looking for?
Oh my gosh. So here's the thing. It actually started so long ago. Obviously we were all familiar with each other through the online circles that we were, in, which is really kind of cool. I mean, it's like the beauty of social media. There are people that we literally feel so close to that we've never met in person in our lives. And so, I was very familiar with both of you. And then we all were at the same conference together in 2018. Actually, that was 2019. I apologize. And that was when I actually got to meet both of you. And that was when I was like, okay. And I had also had a lot of mutual acquaintances telling me, hey, you need to connect with Heather. I think the two of you would be great together. They were more talking about working collaborations, but the more I was like following you guys and just kind of, we had some conversations, we had set up some kind of like, virtual, like just, hey, let's get to know each other. Let's just meet, let's network. The more I did that with the two of you, the more I knew like, these are girls that I like want to be not only just friends with, but also I want to like have, because we're all solopreneurs. We work by ourselves. And I think we all have corporate backgrounds. And so one of the things that's really cool is that we know what it was like to have water cooler talk or go to lunch with your coworkers. And when you work by yourself, you don't have that anymore. So you have to kind of like create the new version of it. And that's what I was really craving and needing in my life and in my business. And so I thought, hey, and I think I first approached Crystal first. And I said, and I remember talking to you, Heather, I was like, what I do not want is an accountability relationship. I do not need an accountability partner. The only person that can hold me accountable is myself. I've done that before. I've been in accountability circles before, and I know my personality. But what I was wanting is exactly what you described. I wanted someone that I could just talk to or say, here's what I'm thinking about, and like have someone help me unravel it. But also just when I would have a win, to be able to be like, talk the talk and have people that understood what it meant and the impact it had. Whereas our family and our other friends and our partners in our lives, they don't get it, right? It's just different. It's nothing against them. It's just, it's not the life that they're in. So I was really, really needing that. And that's why I approached the two of you. And I approached you guys in that very way. It was, I don't want a lot of structure. I don't know what this looks like. I don't want to have a lot of formality around it. I just like, will you guys just come be my friends and hang out with me? That's kind of what it was. I mean, honestly, do you guys remember, I even like drafted like a Google Doc, like just to be like, this is kind of what this is. Cause I wanted to be able to just like, it wasn't really like an agreement. It was just, here's what this looks like. Because I really didn't know the two of you that well at the time. And so I just was like trying to find a way to like, not really formalize it, but also like put a little bit of like context to what I was looking for.
I forgot about the Google Doc. I don't think I opened the Google Doc, Mel.
Probably not.
I probably not. I resisted.
Now here we are over a year later. I mean, we have had this relationship between the three of us for over a year now. And Knowing you now, I guarantee you didn't open the Google Doc.
I did not. Also, this when we talked about. So now thinking back in the timeline, where we all really connected was at the live event, but when you nominated Crystal and I to be B School mentors in Amy Porterfield's bonus experience, that was, I feel like, when we all started kind of just getting to know each other a bit.
Yep,
and
totally.
It was on the coattails of that we each had each other on our podcasts, and we did like a little podcast tour. Side note, go into the show notes for all of this and go listen to all of our cross podcasts, because that's like the early beginning of this relationship. And that stemmed into like, oh, you all are cool people and I want to hang out with you and learn more about it. And you're not weirdos like some people are online.
Well, we are, just in a ways that
we are.
You're
so
a weirdo
weird.
too, and like we get all of
creepers,
our own weirdness.
not creepers.
Now.
Weirdos, yes, but not like creepers online who are like, "Hey, beautiful, what you up to today?" Or I want to sell you my random crap that you don't need. Those are the creepers. Okay. So Crystal, thinking about when we started getting together, where were you at in your business? And were you part of any groups and already networking with other people? Like, what was your interest in, this is so funny. It's like dating online. What was your interest level in like making friends, looking for an accountability group, looking for a mastermind? Like, where were you at?
Well, I've been taking digital courses since like 2017. It was the first one I started. It was a blogging course. And I found out really fast that if you want to actually make moves in your business or whatever you're doing, you can't be, one, the smartest one in the room, and two, the most committed one. Because I've been in accountability groups where other people are like, oh, I need other people. Like, I need you to hold me accountable to posting a blog like every week. And I'm like, okay, cool. And then we show up to the accountability stuff and like, no one has done it. There's like, I've heard every excuse under the book. And I'm like, oh, I did that plus 10 more. So like people that I was like in accountability groups before, they just weren't as committed as me. And that is so freaking frustrating. I mean, and I get it. Everybody goes through seasons of like, hey, I'm kind of off right now. Like I need you like to kind of give me a little pep talk, or we just kind of, with our group here, it's like, hey, get your shiitake together. Like what's going on? Or like, we share like, hey, I'm just going through like hard personal stuff right now. And it's just like, I'll get back on it. Like I'm going to come back because y'all are going to hold me accountable and you're going to be like, hey, what's going on with you? Like, let's see if we can like talk out some things or find some solutions. But with the other groups that I've been a part of, I was always the most motivated person and I was so frustrated. So that's really where I like when Mel, was like, hey, I think that this would work. Like you said, I just put this wall up. Like we were talking earlier and I'm like, we're from the generation of all the multi-level marketers, the people from high school that reach out to you and they're just like, hey, you remember when we were friends that one time in chemistry class? Well, do you want to buy my thing? Do you want to sign up for my thing? And I'm like, I just have my guard up naturally. And I've moved so many times in my life that I haven't really had a chance to make roots long enough to create real relationships, like in person, like actual in-person relationships. So I was really craving this while also being a little guarded still. So what I was really looking for was, I feel like we did a little speed dating, like through the whole, we had the back end communication through the B School experience where we're on Slack and we're getting to see, what emojis you're sharing and which GIFs made us laugh the most. And we're like, oh, they're all kind of a smart ass. I like this. Like I can get on the board with the sarcasm here because that's so much like my personality. And that's really what drew me to learn more, right? Like to take that next step. Like, can I get your digits? Because I think that this could be a fun conversation. And then here we are a year later and we're besties now. And it's just makes my heart so happy. So yeah.
do you remember we were like kind of trying to figure out what to call ourselves, like our group, like so that we could reference each other. And I remember, I don't think any of us are fans of the phrase business besties, but we could come up with anything.
To make fun of the phrase. So therefore we use it just out of sheer like sarcasm.
But I mean, our Vox channel name is I mean, maybe it is. Maybe it is. It's fine for my show. I don't know about your show or Crystal's show. We're going to be repurposing this content, but we came up with a different phrase. But yet when I talk about you guys to others, I always say my business besties. So if anyone has a better name for us, I'm going to need you to like tag us on Instagram and give us some ideas.
Being a woman in business comes with its own unique set of challenges, but also so many opportunities. We get ahead by leaning in to what makes us different from business as usual. I'm Samantha Hartley, host of Profitable Joyful Consulting, inviting you to a special 6-episode series exploring the experience of being a woman in business. You want to hear from women consultants who've hit $1 million, who sell 6-figure engagements, or who've broken their own revenue ceilings? Yeah, those are my clients, and they'll be sharing too. Join me for 6 must-listen episodes that tackle key challenges for women consultants.
Follow Profitable Joyful Consulting on your favorite podcast app.
I named us a name that never stuck. I kept trying to use it and you guys kept slapping it down. But I'm just going to say the original name of the group.
What was it? I forget.
The original name that y'all put on this was Badass Bitches, which was equally hilarious because we're not going to call each other bitches, but that's like the thing that we're like, yeah, we're badass bitches. But I'm like, I can't say that. That sounds, I don't know, a little aggressive. So I just called you Bab. Like our group is Bab. So
Right,
I would refer to, I got to talk to Bab or hey, something. And I tried to use it a few times and you guys would not let the name stick. And
No.
I'm still committed to it, but we are Bab.
No.
What was the other one? We were talking about time and we got like time zones off so bad. I was trying to remember what it was,
Something
but it
under
was
the moon.
hilarious.
Something midnight moons. You texted me one time, Heather, and you're like, hey, is everything okay? Your moon girls are here for you.
It was a time zone issue. I haven't shared this with my audience at all, but I talk fast. I type fast. I don't double check stuff. And I've become like known for that in my career that I've had typos in emails, internal emails, not like PR or like marketing emails, but internal emails, like or Slack channel. I'm just like, go. And then later I'll go back and be like, what the F did that say? Like typos all the time. My old coworkers used to have a folder of all of my typos, but I'm pretty confident. Like it had to do when we were on Clubhouse a few weeks ago. And I was trying to share with you guys the time and it was Moon Pacific.
That's right.
That was what it was. It was Moon Pacific.
That's right.
We attempted to talk about cycles and the time of the month. And then we became the Moon Girls, which was really weird.
Well, it's funny that you said I'm not going to call you guys my bitches. I'm like, but we always do. Like our Vox says right here, where are you bitches at? And then when you sent the Zoom link, it's like, here's the Zoom link, bitches. Like we do, but
you're not supposed to share that, Mel. That was the private
it's not a bad thing. It's because it's cheeky, right? Like it's cheeky, but anyway.
Cheeky. I only, my husband laughs at me all the time because this is going to sound so terrible, but also is to my sense of humor. I'll call him an a-hole, but not like I'm not like actually calling him an asshole,
right?
But I'll be like, what the hell, a-hole? I only call people that I love and like, which sounds so terrible. But if I ever call you an a-hole, it means that I actually like you. I would never call a stranger or someone I really don't like. I don't know. I wouldn't say that. I'm just not like an aggressive yeller at people. That was a random tangent. We went off on a random tangent.
Which can be expected when you put us all in a virtual room together.
It's a lot of tangents happening. Okay. So I want this episode to, one, just be real around like, okay, how should you be able to talk with your business besties online? But I think how important it is to build relationships that this is not a business mastermind, although we talk about business stuff in it. So let's talk about that piece a little bit around, are you guys part of programs where you get business coaching, where you have those types of relationships? Obviously you all have clients that you work with, but like, how is the having a friend element in your business space? How has that changed the dynamic for your life and how you manage things?
Well, I'll go first
Go
because
for it.
the biggest thing for me is having someone to share in my misery, right? Like misery loves company. So like whenever I am stuck or I hit a wall, if I go tell my husband, who my husband is in IT, right? And he deals with building software and apps and all this stuff. Like he is very smart in the technology world, but not in the online marketing world. Like he doesn't understand all the pieces of the puzzle and we're doing webinars and we're doing, Kajabi and we're trying to do this and, ConvertKit. Like there's so many apps that talk to one another. And when something doesn't work and you're ready to throw your computer against the wall, it's just like, he doesn't get it. He doesn't understand. And I don't have a lot of other people that I can just, I don't want to tell my clients or members of my community, hey, everything's broken on the back end, but don't worry, we're trying to fix it. Right. So I can't reach out to that part of my business, but knowing that I can go to Mel and be like, hey, I cannot get my live stream. Like something is not working on the back end. Can you help me out like real fast? And we would hop on a Zoom call or she would Vox me and be like, here's your solution. Or I can talk to Heather and, say, hey, here's a fantastic idea. I actually just messaged her the other day because I was working on something. I'm going to be speaking on a panel soon. And I was like, oh, I'm going to ask Heather if she has any content about speaking on a panel and topics and this and that. So having people that get what you do on a deeper level than like just on the surface is so important. So important, especially more so on the days when things are kind of sucky, but even better, y'all, it is so fantastic to have people cheering you on. And whenever I'm like, yes, I hit a big milestone. I got so many podcast downloads or email subscribers. And I tell my husband, he's like, great. What does that mean? Like, I don't even get it. But then to tell, my girls here, I can say, hey, this is what happened. They're like, that's freaking awesome. Like, this is fantastic. Like, I'm cheering you on and celebrating. So that's what this group has really meant to me. And like having that both like multifaceted approach to our relationship, the friendship and the business, but also not feeling like we have to meet at a certain time. Cause that's something for me, like Mel said, the accountability of like showing up, okay, every day or every week at this time, this place, rain or shine, like that just felt really just don't box me in. Don't you box me into this relationship.
We didn't box you in. We voxed you in.
Yeah, we did.
Mic drop.
I agree with everything Crystal said. I have been in a few mastermind / inner circle word flub styles of groups where it is, I've been in ones that were very formal, very structured. I've been in ones that were a little bit informal. And it was, it's not that I didn't get value out of those groups. In fact, many of those people are still dear friends of mine and people I could reach out to anytime if I needed anything. But how this differs is a couple of ways. One, I think because it is just the three of us, the dialogue that we can create, the fact that we can have the frequency, literally we talk damn near every day. Literally we couldn't do that if there were 10 of us, right? There's times when one of us is, focused and not necessarily caught up to the messages. Imagine if there were 10 of us and you were catching up with 10 people's conversations. So I do think that there's a different level of closeness and intimacy that we can have in our relationship because it is a smaller group, right? So I actually think that, my advice to somebody who's maybe in a larger group would be to have little breakout groups, and you just meet with the larger group maybe once a month or twice a month, but then you have these little breakout groups that are hopefully more like what we have. Because for me, it's everything Crystal said, being able to have a problem that's either business related or even just personal stuff. We've become close personally. We're not just business friends. We are friends. And for me, the barrier of entry is so much smaller. I can just come on and just be like, listen to this ridiculously funny thing that happened. Right. Or I can, I get to just share anything and everything with you guys. But at the same time, it doesn't feel so, I'm trying to think of the word. Crystal was talking about accountability and she was talking about, showing up and being the only one who did the work. There's been times where I feel like, oh man, I'm struggling to make the progress I need to make. And I don't feel this like pressure of like, you guys are going to diss me or like kick me out of our group. It's like, you're here to go through it with me, right? It's not like you're holding me accountable. You're supporting me as a friend would support me. So that's what's different about this. In those other groups, if you show up and you haven't done the work, and you're the one that hasn't done the work, you're going to feel this weird guilt. And maybe that's what you're supposed to feel and it's supposed to push you. But for me, like I told you, I know myself. I know my personality. A group of people is not going to hold me accountable. I am the only one who's going to hold myself accountable. I'm the only one who's going to make it happen. But I want to be in an area or in a team that makes it fun. And I also know that when I have a funky day, I can like have somebody to lean on, right? And all the other stuff too. I think that one of my favorite things about the three of us is we are really similar in a lot of ways. Our personalities are similar, but we also have differences in our personalities. I mean, Crystal's drinking tea. Heather, you might be drinking coffee. I'm drinking a beer right now. Like we have
we're also in different time zones. I think.
Yes,
that's what I was going to say. Have we clarified that we're all different?
Hey, it's 4:00 my time. That means it's 1:00 your time. I had a beer at lunch today, so it doesn't matter. But I'm just saying, like, we're very similar, but we are different, which makes it work. And then from a business standpoint, like what Crystal said, like, I mean, we each have like a role. So I kind of feel like we're our own little like company where we each have a specialty in an area of expertise. I mean, anytime we have a podcast question, we go to Crystal, and, like a content question, Heather, like, and also we each have different levels of experience, you guys are starting to look into the evergreen world, meaning like some of your courses and your content you're not going to be live launching it. I'm not there yet, but I know that when I am there, guess what? You guys have already gone before me and I get to help you, or you get to help me, just like how I help you guys with tech and all the other stuff that we geek out on. But that to me is like something I've never had in a mastermind or inner circle before. And I love it.
Yeah. I think what I've noticed a couple things with it, a lot of the masterminds or groups that I've been in, awesome personalities, right? But you don't necessarily get to connect necessarily on friendship because the time is so formal and short. And it's just, there's also this element, this is going to be really weird to say, but I feel like I need to say it. A lot of times in masterminds, you're in there with peers, and there is this element of you have to put on a little bit of a mask because other people are evaluating your business. And if you work in our industry and serve our industry, those could be your future clients or people talking to your future clients.
Totally.
So I've always felt, again, y'all know I talk about authenticity all the time, but I'm very intentional with how I show up in the Facebook groups I'm in because I know those are my future clients. So I don't God help them. I don't go into Facebook groups and like gripe about, oh my crap, my funnel didn't work, or, oh, this disaster happened. That's not my space to do that. That's one of the things that I love most about our group is it's a safe space where I think about it. It's like on Sunday mornings at home. Like if you were to see me, you guys would laugh. It would be normal for you guys, but like messy bun, no bra all day. I don't brush my teeth until 11. Like it is the hot mess version of me that only my husband and kids see. And you guys, like, I feel comfortable being fully me.
Yeah.
But whenever, even when I'm in a casual, like peer setting where I'm learning with other people, I'm still showing up, not inauthentically, but I'm showing up knowing that there's a different experience there. And I think even when we're not necessarily intentional, everybody puts on a little bit of a mask and everybody is a little bit skeptical, a little hesitant. And I just think you have to know which relationships are for what purposes. And that's for me has been a big difference with us is this is more of a friendship, not a business group, which we do talk about business a lot, but there's more of that friendship piece. And one of the things that you said, Crystal, that I forgot how much why this works specifically, I think for us is, yeah, we can get on and gripe about stuff not working, but I feel like as a balance scale, we way tip the scale on the success side of like always sharing like, holy crap, guys. Like I remember when I had my first evergreen online sale, like the first people I screenshot and shared it with, I was like, holy shit, I made money online. Like those little things like, and that I don't like being part of groups where it's always like, here's my problem. How do I fix it? Or here's what's wrong, or this happened. And it's designed to be like coaching hot seats or something, but it's just putting everything focused on the problem. And I've learned I don't operate well when we're like laser focused on, even if it's problem solving, my brain and just my whole demeanor goes down a really negative path when I'm around that all the time. So I need to have that balance of like positivity and forward thinking. That turns me into the kind of person that I want to be more. And y'all do that for me, which is why I love our little group so much.
Oh, well, I wanted to add too, like being a part of groups where you're similar, but not too similar, right? Because I think it's important to know, like, we're all moms, right? But we all have kids at different ages and stages. And I think it's really important to, if you're looking, like if anybody's listening and you're looking for something like that, I wouldn't recommend someone who is a single mom
I'm a single mom.
I didn't finish to pair up with someone who's like a total empty nester.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
someone who's like in a total different stage of life that could not relate to what is going on because they don't have any kids at home. Like they're already out of the house. They've gone to college because like you can't relate if you're trying to raise a kindergartner all by yourself. So if you're looking for a group of people or even just one other person, like really take that in consideration, like who you are on a personal level, right? Like not just where you are in your business and what you're doing, but like for me, I love the fact that we can all relate to mom guilt and just hiding in our pantries and trying to escape from the kids for just a little bit. And this has been, y'all, especially during this freaking pandemic, this is like my social hour. This is me going out with my girlfriends because I'm like, oh my gosh, I gotta just I'm just gonna go lock myself in my laundry room for a little bit and box with Heather and Mel. And this is like, just go in there for a little bit, but it is so important. It's that connection that, Mel said a few times. It's like, it's what I was looking for. It's friendship on the most basic level that also fulfills other parts that I didn't know that I really needed. Like, cause I've had other connections with people where I talk to them, on a semi-regular basis, probably a few times a month, but nothing like what we have. And I feel like it's grown over time. It didn't just say, hey, let's just chat it with each other every single day. Let's send each other silly messages, by the way, if anybody is starting, I will give you this one piece of advice. Have one place where you're going to communicate. Okay. Don't try to do it. Like, should we be on Facebook Messenger? Should we be on an Instagram group? Like, should we be, cause y'all, it's
that happened one time, Crystal, one time.
I do remember one time Crystal was like, wait, now that we're like, she's like, I don't know if I'm supposed to like Facebook message you or text you and it is one of those, you're right. I think you have to kind of like, and I was going to mention that, we use Voxer, and I do think that I like that we use Voxer. Now, Voxer is an application where you can communicate with voice. It's like voice texting, voice messages back and forth, but you can send videos and GIFs and other things too. But why I think it works to have something like Voxer is that it's separate from Facebook Messenger, where Facebook Messenger so much crap gets lost in there. And then texting, when you're texting, you're in the middle of the thread with everyone else in your life. And then, a Facebook group, I think the Voxer has actually been one of the elements of the success of our friendship. I really do believe that app has actually made it work really well because it just makes it fun. But also it's like, I know when I get a Vox notification, I'm like, it's my girls, like I know it. And so, and I have other people that I send Voxes to and all those things too. But I do think that the app has made a big piece of it. So I would recommend, just like piggybacking on what Crystal said, create a method how you're going to do this. And it could be a group text that may work for you, or a Facebook Messenger room where you can get on video chats with each other and send messages. But, Voxer or Telegram, anything like that, I think is a great way to try to make this work, because it lets you say, hey, I'm just going to send a quick short message. It takes that structure away where you don't have to say, oh, well, I don't want to bother them. I'm going to wait till our Tuesday meeting. Like, that's why I think this has worked, because it's just, and that's what we said from the beginning. We wanted this. I think, Heather, you're the one that said, let's just let this organically kind of like evolve into whatever it's going to evolve into. And that's exactly what's happened. And I think that's been key to it as well.
I agree. We don't even have meetings. We've only actually met on Zoom. I think we had like one happy hour, I don't know, a while back. And then we did an annual planning session, which was really nice for us to get on Zoom. But other than that, like, we talk every day, but it's asynchronous. Like that's probably I really recommend. I think there's two big recommendations that I have for anybody who has this like, I want to build friendships or build connections online, that has, like, if you're in that spot, you know who you are. I remember this very clearly in 2018, 2019. And then early last year, I was really intentional going, this is the year that I'm going to focus on friendships. work is no longer going to run my life. My friendships aren't going to be work based. All of my history and my professional career, my friends have been my coworkers, which I love. I love them to death. But when I left my corporate lifestyle, those relationships kind of stayed at corporate. So I was hungry for that. And the thing though, is being a busy mom, being somebody who works from home, living this last year in pandemic with young kids and figuring out Zoom kindergarten and all these other things, like, and being an introvert, I did not want another meeting. I was like adamant against it. I do not want a weekly meeting. I do not want anyone to like make me say, what's your weekly top 3 every week? Or I don't want any of that. I'm like, don't put that pressure on me because I know myself and I was going to feel guilt and then not look forward to the communication. Yep. It was just it's not a thing. So that big thing was the asynchronous communication of Voxer. I was already using it for client work, using it for a couple other relationships. So that was super, super awesome because honestly, there are some days where I wake up and you guys have been chatting for a while.
Or I was going to say, I was waiting for that to come up.
Yeah,
I know.
Like, I'm like, holy crap, ladies. But it's wonderful because I can start my day in like a little binge session of listening. It's not like it's very long, right? We're talking short messages, but I can listen while I'm doing my makeup. And then when it's convenient for me, I can respond. And I don't know if you guys do this too. And our Boxer string has been a little quiet over the last couple of weeks because we have a lot of things going on. But this is one of the relationships that I feel no guilt for not showing up. And have you ever been in relationships before where people like guilt should be like, you're so busy, you're too busy for me, or like, what's going on? And there's this just expectation and there's a guilt related. And I feel like with the Voxer thread and with how we're set up, it's, if you go dark for a couple of days, it's no big deal. There's no guilt to it. It's more of a, are you okay? How can we help? Which I think is really cool. But the big tip beyond the asynchronous communication is the trio. I had no idea how well that was going to work, but now I'm like, oh, I recommend it. When I have people in my program go, hey, I'm looking for a study buddy. I'm like, get 2 and make it a threesome because here's what's going to happen. There's going to be phases where somebody is going to be busy and they're going to fall off the chain. And then you're going to be like, well, I don't want to keep pestering them over and over again. So then eventually you'll stop talking. And then it's like awkward to re-pick up the communication. I don't know. That's happened to me a ton before. But the trio, there's always 2 people that are engaged. And it's like this constant forward movement where nobody feels like they're being left behind and nobody feels like they're overrunning the communication like I am right now. So
not at all. No, I think I think you were the one that you mentioned that you had made a note to us. Like you said that in a Vox to us, you're like, one of the things I love, and you were saying that exact thing. And I hadn't really thought about it that way, but you're so right. I mean, you're right. Like there's times when, your head's down on a launch or, Crystal's on vacation or something. And it's true. It's like, I don't feel alone. I still have one of you. Right. And, there has been times when all 3 of us are kind of busy, but it's like you said, there's never like this weird, like, oh, I need to get in there because they're going to be wondering. No, it's not like that. And it's really, I do think that 3 people thing makes that dynamic work really well. And that's an accident that we kind of stumbled into, I think you're totally right. I 100% would recommend that you not try to find a business buddy. You literally try to find, a business, a group of peers or a group of friends, like 3 or maybe 4 even it could be, but I don't know that I'd want to go any more than 4 people just because of the reasons I said before, that if you get too many people in there, then it becomes, time consuming and too much work to get caught up. But, Heather, you have a pro tip, and that's that you like to listen. You like to catch up on our messages one thing you can do in Voxer is you can speed up the messages, right? So Crystal always sounds totally fine on high speed, but I think if you turn me or Heather on high speed, it's like, whoa, it's like hyperdrive because we already talk really fast.
That's like a double espresso shot in the morning for sure.
But it's so good. Like, I think like just to piggyback on everything that y'all have said, it's about lowering the expectations. It really is. Like if you come in to a relationship, it's kind of like everything else. It's kind of like being that middle-aged woman that's single and dating. And you're like, okay, so I want to have kids and I want to get married in the next 6 months. And like, you like throw all these things out on the first date. And the guy's like, I'm gonna run in the other direction. But if you approach it with like, hey, we're going to try this out. We're going to see if this works. We didn't like set a timeline and say, okay, in 90 days, if things aren't working, like it's never been a formality of like anything like that. It's been like, hey, we're just going to kind of check in from time to time, like share a win or share something that's going on. And like, sometimes we'll even have like those prompts like, hey, haven't checked in a while. Like what's your top goal this week? But we don't do that every single week. We do it every once in a while and say, hey, I forgot, what are you launching right now? Are you in the middle of a big promotion? Like what's going on? Like, how can I help you? How can I support you? Because all three of us, like we're not on the same calendar. Yeah. We all have different things going on at different times. And that's so helpful because I think that if we were all totally in sync in our business and trying to do the exact same things at the exact same time, like we would all just be exhausted and never like really be able to support one another in a way that really helps everybody. So yeah, I really think lowering the expectations and just saying, we're just going to see where this goes. And, they put a ring on it. I'll just say that. Okay. They put a ring on it. They're stuck with me for life.
And I think that that's one of the things I feel so fortunate and blessed that it has really, truly, like I don't think any of us expected to become so close. Like, I mean, we truly are like, I mean, I literally considered the two of you like in that like best friend category. Like, I mean, I talk to you more than I talk to just about any of my friends, honestly. And it's just different. Maybe it's because we have more to talk about right now because of the seasons of our life that we're in right now. I don't know what that is, but I want to say that I've definitely had other types of friendships and it didn't necessarily evolve into what we have. And I think that what I would say is anyone listening that's like, I want that, or I've tried, how do I go find that? How do I get that? It may take a few times. It may take a few different people, a few rounds of people. And I would say, just don't settle. If it's not serving you or if you're not getting value from the relationship, it's no different than any other friendship or dating relationship. I mean, you're not going to stay there. And so just keep trying and just keep navigating the world of your peers and your network and just look for those people that you're just drawn to, like that person that you're like, I want to hang out with them. And that's how I felt about the two of you. It was like, those are, that's a chick I'd like to hang out with, or, I looked up to you in certain ways. And I know like you guys said that you looked up to me in certain ways, but it's like, literally, I'm like, they're just chicks that are like, those are badass girls that I want to be around because I don't want to just, it's not that I'm afraid to be I can be great friends with people that maybe are earlier in the stages of their business, right? That's not a problem. It's just, there was a personality thing there that I felt that clicked. And I would say to anyone listening to just say the same thing that you would be doing, looking for a friendship or someone to date. It's the same kind of feeling. You need to like feel something, a click, and you need to be drawn to them. And if you are, you need to go for it. But you also need to know like, they may not feel the same way about you, and that's okay. Just keep going and just find those people. And then when you find them, just treat the relationship no differently than you would treat anything else. Like give more than you take and, just be a good friend. Right.
I love that. I think we've been talking a lot about the golden rule in my house right now with my 6-year-old around how to treat other people. And it totally applies here. I think a lot of times when people are building business relationships online, there is a little bit in the back of, especially those who work in the online industry, who serve the online industry. And we're all in that. Mm-hmm. I think there's always this little thing in the back of the mind that people can't turn off of like, how do I find more clients? So secretly, I think there's this little bit of like, oh, scouting out in this group, like potential client, potential friendship, potential referring partner, potential this. And I think at some point you have to make the decision of, are you going to treat every relationship as an opportunity to make money? Which, side note, we all are figuring out how to make money together. Like that's been a beautiful benefit, but that wasn't the intention. Right. So I guess, do you guys have any advice for anyone listening around how to sift through that like schwarmy process of like courtship where you weed out the inauthentic thing? Like, I don't know. Crystal, you said this earlier, it might've been in our pre-rolling, but I'm very skeptical of other people. I am. And so I have my guard up a little bit. So how have you guys approached that? Maybe outside of our group, but just in general, when people have tried to like claw their way into friendship with you, and I'm air quoting friendship. Has that come up for you guys at all? Or is that maybe that's a weird topic.
No, I totally, I have 2 to 3 other ladies that I can think of that I touch base with on a really regular basis. And I think the reason why my relationship works with them too is because we don't do the exact same thing. we're in the same space, right? In the online business. I'm saying that in air quotes because that could mean a million different things. I have a friend that is really big on YouTube. I have a friend that's really big on like creating courses. I have a friend that's like, so it's like having people that are doing similar things to you. They don't have to be doing the exact same thing, because then you may hit a point in your relationship where you're like, oh, they stole my idea. Or, it's like the catty crap that happens in women's circles. It's like they're trying to be better than me, or they're trying to, be my competition. So I kind of just take that out of the equation in the first place, where it's just not even a thing. And it's never been a thing for us because none of us do the same thing. We complement what each other does. And I think that is something that I would look for if I were looking for someone to hang out with. And again, I know Heather said this a few times about being authentic. Like, find someone that you can feel like, okay, I have on no makeup. My hair's a mess. I'm in my PJs. Like, I have bad breath and my kids are screaming in the background, but they're still like, they're totally fine with that. And they don't judge me for it. They just love me for who I am. And I know that sounds like a big fluffy idea, but it's something that comes with time. It's not something that you can microwave and fast track to make that happen. It's just going to take time, but I would recommend finding people that are similar to you, but also different, because we've talked about similarities, but we're all really different in a lot of ways. I know, oh my gosh. So real fast, I'm just going to brag on y'all because I'm so jealous of Heather's ability to like say, man, I really wish I had a spreadsheet that looked like this. And she's like, what did you say about spreadsheets? Here you go. And it's beautiful. And it has all the things that I need. And she explains it in a way that I'm just like, oh my gosh, like I don't have that. And then with Mel, oh my gosh, like I just can't even explain to you how many headaches I've avoided by having Mel in my back pocket saying, I think I broke something on the computer and something's not working. And she's like, oh, well, let me hop on a call with you and let's figure it out. So I'm just so grateful for y'all. And I just know for anybody who's listening, you just have to be committed to finding your people, right? It may take you a while. It's taken me years. I didn't just say, I want to find, friends in this space. I've been doing this since 2017, right? It's taken me close to 4 years to find people that I really connect with. So I love y'all. I just want to love you. Love you, ladies.
Love fest happening.
I mean, I think everything Crystal said again, I agree with everything she said. I think that bottom line is you have to follow your gut. I mean, I think that in general, if you're not feeling sure about somebody who's approaching you or, whatnot, I think then you just know, I think that it almost always, inside your gut, and you may not know it right away. But again, that's what I was saying is, just slowly, start the friendship, start the conversations. And then if you get to the point where you're like, man, they are always asking me for stuff. And they are always like, but they never ask me how I'm doing, or, I think it has to be a reciprocated relationship. It has to be mutually beneficial in all ways. And I think that it just goes back to it. Like it just like friends and just like people you date, it's very similar. You're going to know and feel it in your gut. But I would say I wouldn't say that I want everyone to go into it guarded, but I do think that if a complete stranger reaches out to you and they're just like, hey, I love following you. Can we be business buddies? You're going to want to be careful about that. But if it's somebody that you've interacted with, whether it be virtually or, other in other groups, or maybe they've been part of a big, mastermind with you and they want to take the relationship further. I can't like talk about this without making it sound like, the stages of dating, but if they're ready to take it to second base, I mean, you got to go to first base first, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So I think you just got to follow your gut and don't be afraid to back down or back off if you feel like it's not the right fit, because there's going to be a lot of reasons that will make it not a good fit, but there's also a lot of beautiful things that can make it a good fit. And we've talked about some of that. But if you're feeling that and sensing that, then you just again, like I said earlier, don't give up. Keep looking for this friendship that can. And I do think that the key here is that this is a friendship, but the common thread here and the reason why this is different than our other friendships is this is a friendship that is inside of a circle of business, right? Like we know this. It's the key that we were saying. It's the missing element is we can talk the talk with each other. So like when we say something like, I'm going to go evergreen, like if I said that to my boyfriend, he'd be like, where are we going? Are we cutting down a
We're going
Christmas
to
tree?
Oregon.
Yeah. Like, where are we going? You know, like evergreen, like, is that the new scent of essential oils you're going to put in the diffuser? What do you mean? You know, like, so you do need those people that get those buzzwords. And like, you know, I was just having this conversation the other day and I was like trying to explain something. I'm like, you know, here's the goal and here's why this is important. And he's just looking at me like, that's great, babe. And I'm like, inside, I'm just like, he doesn't care. Like, he doesn't get it, but I can't be mad at him.
So hard. He's trying.
Yeah, but I can't be mad at him. It's just different, but you guys get it. So that's, I think, is one of the common themes here that I want people to be focused on.
Yeah, that shared language. I think what's interesting when I think about being like the guard up online and being skeptical, I think it's being on the receiving end. It's the more visible you get, the more that you're posting online, or those of you who have podcasts or starting to put yourself out there, the more you're going to be susceptible to get pitched. People are going to be cold pitching you in the DMs or whatever else. And I think that's just part of business. I think in the early days of my business, I was really guarded about it and really like, this is a crappy pitch or whatever. We all make fun of that sometimes too. But what I've realized is like when you have the mentality around at the end of the day, just assume good intentions of other people, that people are trying. I always go like, okay, maybe it is a schwarmy person like trying to pitch me. But if I do this, I don't respond to like the super schmucky pitches, but like if it's somebody like doing their best and they're like, hey, how are things going? And it looks like a relatively normal person, I'll reply and just see where it goes. Cause I am curious and I'm respectful, but like as soon as if like third, fourth conversation, if they're like, can we book a call to do X, Y, and Z? I'm like, no, I don't do calls. I don't like talking to people in real live time. I don't like to put on pants during the unscheduled days and I have children. Like, so like, I think moral of the random tangent, be open. Like, cause I think if we put our guard up too much, just expecting that everybody's trying to like pitch us and sell us, like you'll never create space or capacity for friendships, for relationships. So I think that's something that's really, really important.
Yeah.
Okay. Crystal, I have a question for you.
Go for it. I'm ready.
You're ready. Okay. So one of the things that I think you do a really good job at is staying the positive, like silver lining person without making someone feel like crap for going down a tangent. That's a weird way to put it. We always joke how you're the cheerleader of the bunch, but you know how sometimes if people are too positive, let's say, I remember when I was going through issues with trademark infringement on my podcast, y'all were there for me on that one. There was a lot of negative stuff. And I think sometimes when something goes wrong, if somebody's like, it's going to be fine, think of the bright side, think of the opportunity. And you're like, I'm thinking about punching you square in the face. Like, let me have my moment. Like, but you, I feel like do a really good job of expressing empathy where it doesn't feel dismissed, but then you do put the positive spin on it. You're a great cheerleader. So can you talk a little bit about how you mentally like manage how do you stay positive, but also be present for someone who is going through some of the struggle stuff?
Yeah. So this is such a great question. And it's funny because I've actually been complimented on this multiple times. And I'm like, oh, I do that? Like, it's not something that I'm really even aware of. So I think that it's something so deeply entrenched in just who I am, because when people say that, I'm like, I don't know any other way to be. So the only thing that I can like really add to how this happens, y'all, it's funny because I had a recent podcast episode where I talked about this, but I say I've been a cheerleader, but I'm no longer actually a cheerleader, right? But I was a cheerleader beginning at the age of 4. And a lot of people did it, like all these other girls that were on the field with me, they did it because they wanted people to look at them. And I was literally there to scream and yell at the top of my lungs for other people. It's something I've always enjoyed. I remember being in high school on the sidelines so I played volleyball and I cheered. So I would usually play a volleyball game and then go straight to cheer on the sidelines. Y'all, I was not cute. Okay. I was sweaty. I was a mess. If I had any makeup off, I'd already sweated off. I was the beat red cheerleader down there screaming like a hoss. I was just like, yeah, let's go. We're on defense. Like I always cared more about what the actual team was doing than everybody looking at me and looking so prim and proper, which is what some of the other girls were doing. And so I just have this idea behind, I guess, this thinking of being a cheerleader that if I'm going to show up for other people, I'm going to show up. And I have just learned over time in lots of Brene Brown books, right? Because like all the shame and empathy, like all those things, I realized just acknowledging that sometimes life just sucks and you need to just say that. Like what you went through, Heather, like I remember there were so many days where you're just like, guys, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't even know it was just like all the unknowns of what does a rebrand look like? How do I even, am I going to get sued? Like all the implications that you just weren't sure of. And I didn't have the answers for you. I couldn't fix it in a simple, oh, you should do this. But I was like, that really sucks. But you know what? We're going to figure this out together. Like, do you need me to go Google something? Do you need me to go call somebody? Like I'm the person, and this is totally true about my personality. If we are in a crisis, like an actual crisis, I'm going to say, what do you want me to cook for you? Do you like cinnamon rolls or do you like fresh baked bread? Like, I don't know how to fix your problem, but I will bring some food to your house. Like, this is me. This is how I fix problems. And I don't know. It's just, I like showing up for my friends and people that I care about in ways that I'm good at. I can't solve all your problems, but I can help you like be the ear that you need or make you some bread. Y'all, I wish that I could put my cinnamon rolls in an Amazon like delivery drone and send them to y'all.
I would like that. I think
I would too. I didn't
project.
This is the first, I actually remember now you say that, but I like forgot like cinnamon rolls is your jam. It's one of your jams. Yeah.
Yes. Like, but that's really what it all comes down to is just, if you're going to be a part of a team, and that's really what I think of. We're not just friends. We're not just, the badass bitches. Like we're a team. And I truly feel that, this is something that has developed into like, you know what, if someone were to say something bad online, I'd be like, no, you don't talk about my girls. Let me get my fingers ready. I'm going to
talk about my bitch like that.
Yeah, you don't talk about this. Like
you don't call her a bitch. Only I call her.
Exactly.
We just got into a really weird tangent, but that's truly how I feel. So thank you. I want to say thank you so much for that compliment. But at the end of the day, it just comes down to it's just what I know. It's what I know. So I'm going to go make some cinnamon rolls after
Yeah,
this.
please do. I love cinnamon rolls. A side note, I also have an amazing cinnamon roll recipe, so we'll compare notes later.
Yeah, I don't do baking, but I make some damn good tacos.
Tacos.
You do.
Here for it. There was a really, I think there's a really important lesson in what you just shared. Crystal, I know it's ingrained in you. So for you, it's also what everybody talks about in this space. The thing that you should teach is the thing that's ingrained in you, but you have to figure out how to articulate it and how to processize it, systematize it, whatever other big words we want to use. But that piece that you just described of, I have this mental image of you as like this cheerleader that's like sweaty with like a hot mess, but like screaming, you got this, like on the sidelines. I could totally picture of it. But I think it's such a fascinating like image to think about in the online space, especially women, where so many women are so focused on like, there's only room for one person to be the victor. There's only room for one person to win in this quote unquote niche. There's only one, like everybody's like, there's such competitiveness that I think if we were to take like a page out of your playbook, cheerleader, around like, what could we do to focus on cheering more for other people, regardless of whether or not it's in your own friendship. I think this is something that's really, if you're intentional with cheering for others in the groups you're in the Facebook groups you're in the communities you're in, if you become known for that and that becomes more of an automatic thing, you'll notice other people are drawn to you because you make them feel good. People want to be around other people that make them feel good. So I think there's something to be learned there. If you're looking to build relationships online, start celebrating other people's successes more. I think that's something that we need to do more of. And I think so many people are so quick to judge and analyze and like behind the keyboard be like, well, she did this, but instead just be like, holy shit, she did that. Like I just think there's such a beautiful gift in that. And I'd love to see more of that celebrated in our space.
For sure. And that's actually one of the reasons, like to circle back to, being part of Amy's, B school group. That was why I was chosen. Like when they reached out to me, they were like, hey, we always see you cheering people on like in the group and you're always super active, like, where does that come from? I've had so many people say, well, like, where does that come from? And I guess it goes back to the empathy of putting myself in someone else's shoes. Like I imagine, well, if I was just getting started and I asked a question, I would hope someone would answer my question, or I would hope someone would point me in a direction that is actually going to answer my question and not just sell me on something. Cause we've all seen it a million times. You put a question out there and everyone's like, oh, check out my free resource, check out this, check out that. And I learned from the very beginning is like, if you just show up and actually answer people's questions, like exactly what you just said, they're going to be drawn to you. They're going to be drawn to you just organically, naturally, and you don't have to work as hard. Let's just be honest. You don't have to work as hard when people trust you on that level, because they're not like, oh, there's Crystal over there, she's always pitching her stuff. Instead, they're like, hey, she actually knows her stuff, and I'm going to tag her in other people's questions because she knows what she's talking about. And then things just kind of snowball from there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I totally agree with that. Mel, what are your thoughts?
I agree with what Crystal said. And I think that it comes down to, and when you are involved in whether it be you're going to decide that I'm going to be in, like you said earlier, you're going to be intentional in a Facebook group, or whether you're going to, find your network or find your people. I mean, you have to give more than you take, and I think that I think what happens though is some people don't know what they should be giving, and that is they don't know where they can help. And so even if you're not sure what your specific like gift is in regards to like what you would create a course about or something, right? Just show up as a cheerleader. Like Crystal said, just support people. I mean, just be like, that's great. That's nice. Like, even if somebody shares something, you're like, I have no idea what that means, but if you're excited, I'm excited for you. Like, just be a person in the crowd that's there to like clap. And you will figure out, like, I mean, I think that's the thing is that I think that, we have people that are in our audiences they're still trying to figure their stuff out. And believe me, I've been doing this since 2014. And finally, and you guys know this, like I finally feel like I have figured out my lane. Right. And so it's taken a long time, and it has taken a lot of experimenting and just having those conversations. And what really happened for me was I would support people. Like I was like a cheerleader in the groups as well. And I started leaning into, and I was like, what is it that I love to help people with? Like, what is it that I actually like talking about and learning about? And that's how I ended up finding my lane. And so I do think that there's also value in when you are supporting people and helping people, you're naturally going to start to like pick up on things. Like you'll be like, ooh, that question. Ooh, I love answering questions about that. Or, ooh, I know what that is. I know the answer to that. And you're going to naturally start to do it. So the more you jump into support and to cheer people on, you actually are going to learn more about yourself in the process as well. And so it's not just about showing up for others. You're also you're learning about yourself. And so if you can do that and also be paying attention to the conversations that excite you and light you up, or the conversations where you don't know the answer, but you love looking it up and figuring it out, well, that's something for you to pay attention to. And naturally, you're going to start to like, I think the whole thing here is always be yourself and just show up in the way that you can, because you're naturally going to that polarizing effect. Some people may not like your style, and that's fine, but you're showing up. So then they know. So then you're never going to accidentally fall into a friendship with a person, because you know what I mean? Like if the more you show up, the more you polarize, and you're going to have, people are going to be drawn to you, and then some people may not be drawn to you. But the people that are drawn to you, as Crystal said, you're almost like creating a lane for them to come to you because you're showing up. Right. And that I think is exactly how the three of us were able to be like, yeah, I actually do want to be friends with these people, because we all freaking show up. I mean, we show up, and, people know who we are. I mean, I think that it's not a popularity contest. It's just that we show up. And I think that that's key. But if you don't know how to show up in regards to, like I said, from a teaching standpoint yet, then just show up and support, and just show up and cheer people on, just like Crystal said. And the other stuff, you will find it. It will work itself out.
I love that. Okay, let's start wrapping this in, because I think we could talk all day, and we're probably just going to go back to Boxer when this is done here. But I want to think about, so for those listening, they're thinking about, okay, I'm curious about this. Maybe they'll use some of the tips and things we talked about today to add to their existing network to maybe strengthen some of their relationships. I want you guys to each think of 1 or 2 tips or key insights that you would share related to this topic to the audience. So it could be something that we already talked about that you really want to emphasize to make sure that's the clear takeaway. But I want to give us each the chance just to kind of do it around the trio, our parting thoughts for how somebody can approach building a stronger network within their business and personal relationships. Y'all, either one of you want to go first, or would you like me?
I'll go first. I'll go first because then I'll forget what I was going to say.
And she doesn't want any of us to take it.
Yeah,
because we're all thinking probably the same thing.
I'm like, well, my two are, so I have two tips that we've already talked about, but I just want to reiterate here is find people that are complementary to what you're doing. Okay. Not competing, but people that can help you rise up, but also connect you with strategic people. Like, y'all, I can't even tell you how much my network has expanded just by being in Heather and Melanie's like orbit, right? Like not saying, hey, Heather, I see that you connected with this really big person. Like, can you connect me? And then Melanie, like, you know, like there's never been any of that, like taking advantage of the relationship, but kind of by osmosis, just all of us being together, we have all helped each other rise in ways that we never could have planned out. So that's the first tip. Find complementary people to hang out with. And two, lower your expectations. Like freaking just drop the bar low, like just find people you're comfortable with, because that's really what we've done. Like from the get-go, we're just like, y'all, I'm going to show up when I'm sick. Some days I may not talk to you for a week and a half because things are crazy at my house. And then sometimes I'll just be like, I'm going to send you this random GIF or this random meme for no apparent reason. And you're going to say, WTF, like, what is this about? And then I'm just laughing and I'm like, oh, I can't wait. I can't wait for Heather to wake up on the other side of the US and be like, what's actually happening? So lower your expectations, find people that can complement what you do and who you are.
Okay. Love it. Oh, that's so good. I would say similar, but just again, that back to that thing, like let it evolve organically. Do not try to create some structure. Just let it evolve organically. Because I do think that every friendship and every relationship that you build is going to be unique. Right. And so don't try to force anything. Just let it evolve organically, because when you do it that way, you're also not going to get all in, right? Like you're not going to be all in until a point where you're like, oh my gosh, this is not the right fit for me. So if you just take it slow and just let it kind of happen, like ride the wave of it and just let it go in the direction it needs to go. And it may turn into not even a business friendship at all and just a business relationship. Like, I mean, I have people like that now and they're dear friends of mine. Like I say that, but really like we only talk about business. We don't talk about anything personal, but I love them dearly and I talk to them all the time. So, and then there's other people that you may start out thinking there's going to be this business element to it. And then it may never even, it's just going to be a friendship. And so, but let it evolve organically. It's no different. Like we talked about dating, like you're not going to walk in and be like, hey, I'd like to date you. And we're going to actually go on dates every Monday at 5. And then on the Fridays, we're going to recap our week. And then we're going to make out. Like you're never going to date somebody like that. So I just don't think that, I think it's the same thing. Like it's a friendship. It's like you said all along, Heather, this is a friendship that has a business element to it, but it's not just don't overly structure it and just let it evolve into whatever direction it needs to evolve. And I mean, that's my biggest thing is, and just, like going back to even when you feel like you want to reach out to somebody, let that, like, don't just be like, oh, that chick's a badass. Oh, I need to find her. I want to make her my business friend. No, like hang out with them online for a while first, like pay attention to their stuff, like follow them, comment on their stuff, chat, just don't jump in. And you'll find those people you'll be like I said with you guys, like I was kind of like paying attention to you guys because again, I was like, ooh, those are 2 awesome chicks. And it just turned into like, you know what? I want to take this to the next step. I want to go to first base with these girls, but I didn't like walk into didn't walk into the ball diamond and say, let's go to first base. I mean, I had to like get my cleats on and,
you're really committed to this analogy.
I know. I'm just saying it's the same damn thing. It's weird, but it's the same thing. It really is. So I'm just saying, let it evolve naturally and organically. And don't put too much freaking structure on it. We have enough structure in our lives right now.
I remember the day when Crystal and I exchanged phone numbers to text for something. And we were like, did we just go to second base? And we talked about how like a home run is like girls retreat weekend. We travel somewhere together. So that's good.
I know Melanie called me one day and I was like, what are you doing?
that was just the other day. I know. I was like, it's weird, isn't it? Like we're on the phone live.
Oh my gosh, that's funny. Okay, let me wrap it up. I have two tips around it, which we've kind of covered, but I want to say them like in like a staccato here. Number one for me is prioritizing positivity. I've been in a lot of groups. I've been in a lot of relationships, and I love having lots of different friendships, lots of different connections. The thing that has worked the best for me over the last 12 months has been making sure that I'm surrounding myself with people who have more of a positive outlook. So while it was like we talked about earlier, yes, they listen and sit with you through the hard stuff, but then they lift you to a higher level of thinking. I think there's that common saying that you're the sum of the 5 people you spend your most time with. Be really intentional with who you spend your time with. And the people on Zooms or on social or on your box channel, those count. So I think that's number one. And then I actually have 2 more, but I'm just gonna say one. No, I'm gonna say both of them. The second part of that is frequency. I think what works really well for us is the frequency of the communication. So my real second one was going to be have a variety of different kinds of relationships. So I've been cultivating different relationships on Voxer, on Instagram, on whatever else. So I have you guys are not my only, sorry, you're not my only business besties.
Oh,
I know. But we've talked about this before. We all have multiple people that we work with, but at different cadence levels. You guys are my daily dose of inspiration and realness and positivity and just life, everything. I would highly recommend that everyone has kind of that daily, or maybe it's not every day, but frequent communication, because while I love all of my other relationships I'm building, they're less frequent. And I think that piece there of have a variety of people in your network for different reasons, for different sources of inspiration and, different facets of your life, but make sure that you have some more frequency. Because I think if 2020 taught us anything, which it taught us a lot of things that get really lonely. And I think it's really easy for us to recluse into our own world that's happening of trying to navigate all the chaos and craziness, and don't deprioritize yourself and your need to connect with real people over some of the other things. So anyways, those are my random word vomits.
Those are great. Those are great. I love those.
Ladies, I love y'all so much. You guys are wonderful. And I'm hoping that our very random and tangenty, but also very informative conversations today inspires some other people to start forming stronger relationships online, maybe in a not formal way, as we talked about, but a little bit more of a set the tone and say, hey, we're going to have more of a consistent relationship. Hope it happens organically. But I think this is where the future is when it comes to business online. You have to have some of those relationships. Otherwise it gets pretty damn lonely.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I love you girls.
All right. Well,
my bitches.
Everyone knows who you are because you've been on the show before, but let's just do a little round the room real quick. Crystal, where can people find and hang out with you and potentially persuade you to become their business bestie?
Oh yeah. All the DMs will be flooding in and I'll say, no, sorry, I'm taken.
She said there's a ring on it.
Yeah, everybody ring on it. Yeah, so you can hang out with me on Instagram. I'm at Crystal Profit TX, as well as come join me in my free Facebook group. If you love to talk about podcasting, want to know about podcasting, man, that is my jam. Those are my peeps too. And yeah, come hang out with us.
Yeah. For anything podcast related, if you guys want to go back and go to the episode where I interviewed Crystal all about things podcasting, she's got an excellent training where you can learn all about it. So we'll link to it in the show notes. And then of course, Mel, you have 2 favorite places I like to hang out. One, when you talk about live streaming, anytime you go live, but then also your Facebook group is super fun and full of scrappy, but not crappy marketing folks. So tell us a little bit about your groups and where you hang out most online.
That's right. Yeah. So I help people up their game when it comes to live video. I think live video is huge. And I'm kind of like that techie geek and I like figuring it out. It's like a treasure hunt for me to figure out all the scrappy ways that we can show up online. But as I always say, scrappy doesn't have to be crappy. So yeah, I have a Facebook group. It's called DIY Marketing with Melanie. And it's really for anyone that is doing their own marketing DIY style. So you're a DIY marketer. So come hang out with us over there. It's called DIY Marketing with Melanie. Just search for it on Facebook. And then I am Melanie Dyann. I'm at Melanie Dyann pretty much everywhere. Instagram, YouTube as well. So definitely come hang out. Send me a DM anytime if you have a question. But really, it's the group, man. That's where the party is. It's in the group, and we have a great group. It's super fun, and I just love all my people in there.
Ditto. We're all a 3 in all of each other's groups, which I think is super fun. So we get a creep stock on what each other's doing. All right, ladies, thank you for being in this conversation. I appreciate you spending your Friday with me. Cheers to the snowpocalypse that's happening around the country. We all have kind of snow happening. We're joking that Crystal has a beanie on because evidently it got cold in Texas. Go figure.
And I'm freezing and they're making fun of me. And I'm like, we don't know how to handle this.
The version of cold that you're experiencing right now would be like 50 below zero for Heather and I. So we got to give her a little bit of a break.
It doesn't get that cold here in Portland. We have like one snow event every year, maybe, and it's happening right now. So, all right, let's wrap this mother up. Love you, ladies. Thanks so much for being here. And guys, thanks for listening to another episode of the Heather Sager Show, or wherever you're listening to this in case it gets played in other places. We appreciate you being here and we'll see you next time. Hey friends, thanks so much for listening to today's episode. If you liked what you had to hear and you're looking to make a bigger splash with your brand online, then you've got to check out my brand new free video training. You can get it over at heathersager.com/mini training, where I'm going to teach you the 3 speaking strategies that every online business owner needs for this virtual world here in 2020. Hint, you don't have to be some big pro speaker to make speaking work for your business. Go grab it now, heathersager.com/mini training, and I'll see you on the next episode.
So I really felt like I rushed through the beginning because I really wanted to get to this conversation. Plus, I knew it was going to be so long, so jam-packed. And I hope that you felt like you were just listening in on a conversation between friends, because that's exactly what that was. And that's what we wanted it to be. I hope that you found it helpful. I hope that if you are in a place where you're trying to find connectivity and other people that you can share with, like be your peers in this online business journey, whether you are just getting started or you are creating your podcast and you're like, I don't really know what I'm doing. I hope that you find people that are complementary to what you are doing, what you're trying to accomplish, and keep looking. Like if you're like, man, I've struck out so many times. Like you got to kiss a lot of frogs before you find your prince, your princess, like whatever it is that you're looking for. So don't give up on finding those business besties. Seriously, I'm telling you, it is worth every single second that you keep looking, keep trying to find those people that can fill that void, whatever that looks like for you. I know for me, like I was just really kind of lonely in my journey, and the support that I have with Heather and Mel is just, it's been so incredible. So I hope that you find this. I would love for you to take a screenshot where you are listening to this episode, tag me, tag Mel, tag Heather, and let us know what you thought about today's crosscast. And don't worry, I know you want to know the details behind, like, how did we do this? How did we actually make this work? Don't worry, I will be sharing about that in an upcoming episode. But for now, make sure you go check out Heather's incredible show notes. You can go to crystalprofit.com/episode 240, and I'm going to link to her awesome show notes for today. But that's all I have for you. So remember, keep it up. We all have to start somewhere. Hey, Profit Podcast listeners. Thanks for sticking around to a little bit after the episode to hear this special message, because I want to hear from you. We are starting a new segment called Fan Mail Shoutouts, and I want to hear from you, and I want to hear your questions. What do you want to know? What questions have you been dying to ask me? So here's how to make this happen. Go to the app where you're listening to this podcast right now. Go there. I'll wait a second. Okay. Now, once you're there, you're going to see a hyperlink at the top of the episode description that says, send Crystal a text message. And that's all I want you to do. Send me a text. It could be casual, informal. It could be totally anonymous. Or if you want, you can include your name and the name of your podcast or content wherever you are creating, and I will give you a special shout out in an upcoming episode. So again, go to the show notes for where you're listening to this episode right now, and it will say, send Crystal a text message. And I cannot wait to hear from you and give you a shout out in an upcoming segment of Fan Mail Shoutouts.